Good morning, and a good morning. So I am driving back to my house, or actually my sister's house, right? And I've been talking to my friend, and I say friend as in singular because since I've been on this path, everyone, it seems, has fallen to the wayside, right? Which, if I'm being honest, and knowing thyself is about honesty, they're not falling to the wayside because they've always been on the wayside. I'm just now realizing it. So it is safe to say that I am still in the dark night of the soul. And what the fuck? You know, I'm continuously learning, and I'm watching videos and I'm reading books. But a lot of the videos that I see are people who, you know, have already surpassed that part, or pretty much are done with it because there's understanding and clarity, right? But I don't never see anyone talk about, now I do hear them talk about their still continued struggles, but I break down, it seems like, every day or every other day, or maybe I'll have a good week and then there's 3 days of like, what the fuck is going on, right? And I know I'm not still out of it because people are still falling from my life. There was one, and it's funny because I keep saying, okay, that's it, right, God? That's it. But no one talks about what it really feels like in the dark night of the soul. Especially when you have a type A personality, when you've achieved things that you've never thought already. You know, this is not something about trying to manifest things for me. It is because I want a different type of dream. But as far as the materialistic world, I conquered that. I've done it. And it didn't serve me. I'm 44 years old, about to be 45, and I'm just now learning truths about my life was a lie. Like, it's ridiculous. It's like on so many different levels. Not just me discovering my path, not just me discovering my purpose, not just me discovering that I'm a multidimensional being having a human experience, but just the fallacies that I grew up with, and then the fakery. It's like, it literally took me out. I've been on this journey unknowingly, let me say that. I've been on this journey unknowingly for 20 years. 20 years. The first 10 years, it was dark night of the soul, pretty much probably that whole 10 years, because I didn't understand what was going on. Just I just was like, why are you doing this to me? Like, I felt like Carrie Ann in the movie Poltergeist, when she comes after the movie is completely over, and she runs up to the house. Everybody is in the car trying to get the hell on. And Carrie Ann is so focused on the destruction of the house and the phenomenon that's going on that she's not paying attention to her family in the freaking car saying, come on, let's go. She's standing in front of the house like, what is happening? And that was me for the first 10 years. First 10 years. Like, God was like, because I'm hard-headed and I'm headstrong, and I wasn't in the know. I would have thought I was awake because I have always been self-aware, which is why that part of my journey was done subconsciously, literally. The part that I'm trying to overcome now is fear. And I'm trying to remember what fear is. So I've been watching all these videos, and, you know, fear is a subconscious response to not feeling safe. And so, you know, I like to pull the thread. Okay, well, what does that mean? When did I stop feeling safe? When did I start responding and acting out of fear, fight or flight response? And when did I stop feeling safe? So I'm going back and back and back and back, trying to pull at this thread. And it's still unraveling. But I literally have a sense of fear, but if you've known me in my life, you would be like, nah, not you, which is surprising to me. to discover that I am fearful. Now, I've always had a fear of commitment, so that's not nothing that has gone unnoticed. You can ask my boyfriends. So, but it's fear of literally just being completely and utterly and totally myself. And I'm realizing that was based on conditioning, and I'm going back and I'm in the phase where I'm asking people stuff like, when did you know this? And why did you do that? And where was I at? Like, that's the phase I'm on, and what I've been on last 10 years, right? So now I'm entering into this new phase where God has already, he wiped my side. He literally wiped the floorboard. It's like he took a jump rope and said, everybody jump, and I'm the only one that jumped, and everybody else got swept off their feet and fell. That's how I feel. And it was systematically done, though. It was systematically done. It's like he started showing me my friends first. But I already knew who they were. That's the thing. I wasn't unaware of them. I just didn't realize how the energy related between us, because people used to say birds of a feather flock together, and I used to be like, no, I don't. But I didn't know that even though I didn't flock with them and do the things that they did, that they were draining my energy. I did not know that. So to me, it's like I've been around darkness my entire life, not just my immediate family and supporting cast, meaning aunts, uncles, but my friends, all of them that I grew up with. God kept showing me them, and I kept second guessing what I was seeing and what I was feeling. I literally was, even up to this point, even up to this day. And I understand why, because I'm an empath, and I feel for people and I want to heal them instinctively, intuitively. I do. That has been me my entire life, whether it's animals, people, whatever. And so it's like the fact that they needed me, or so I thought. They only needed me from what they can get from me, not needed me, to be a part of their life. It was just what they could get and what they needed that part from. But I'm now realizing that everything that I seek is on the inside. And I was seeking external gratification and external approval, not knowingly, understand, because I've always walked to the beat of my own drum, always. But subconsciously, I tolerated behaviors from people that I loved but did not love me in return, simply because I was looking for external approval. Not in a way where I wanted them to, big me up. Oh, thank you. Not that. But it was, if I can make them smile, then all is right with the world. But in the midst of all of that and what I was doing for my family, and it goes deep, it goes real deep with my family. Like, it's a lifelong story that I ran from, came back to, and finally dealing. Whole nother story, whole nother video. But what I'm finding is that, and this was the most disheartening part, was that I did not love myself to tolerate the behaviors. And I called them out. I knew who they were, but under the guise of family, and you do what you need to do for family, and you sacrifice for family, and when you achieve, the family achieves and grows and prosper. I was the only one living out that in my immediate family and in the supporting cast. And it took for me to come back home to realize that. And so now, as the what the fuck and what's happening phase is transitioning to me doing for me since 1989, and I'm 44. I haven't done nothing for myself, just nothing, just solely me since 1989. Whole nother story. But now it's like I'm still crying, though. I'm still releasing, and it's I don't know what I'm fearful of. And so that's what this next part of my journey is on. And so I'm hoping that I can find my soul tribe, because who I was raised with and who I actually chose around me were not it, and I thought they were, and it took me this long to figure out that they were not. And it was because I had to stop and listen, which I if you know, and if this video is any indication, you know I don't listen, or I didn't listen. Now I actively, intuitively listen with everything, not just my ears. And I've always listened intuitively, but now it's a conscious decision, you know, because I've not sacrificed myself as far as compromise myself for the things that I've wanted. I've stayed strong in that regards. Sure, I've had some moments where, you know, I may have made a bad decision, or I put something over what I wanted versus what I needed. Yeah, but at the core of me, I've not compromised myself, my dignity, my integrity, or nothing to get what I want, which is why I don't have it now, because I could have. Oh, look at a blue jay. It's sitting right in front of me. Too cute. But so this journey has been exciting but painful all in the same breath, and literally all in the same breath. Before you can inhale and exhale one complete time, it generates like that, where because I'm discovering who I am, and I'm discovering the truth about myself, and I'm discovering that I always known, and people in my life have spoken this over my life. People I didn't even know have spoken greatness over my life, but I never knew in what capacity they thought. And in my mind's eye, my capacity for greatness was helping my family and achieving my goals at the same time, but not realizing that continuously feeding people who do not want to do good at this moment, and not going to say do good because that sounds like judgment, but they do not want to do the work in order to heal themselves so they can stop hurting themselves and hurting other people, that I was not going to achieve my dreams. And it hit me like the last 2 years of the last decade, especially 2019. It became so apparent to me, like in my soul and in my spirit, that if I did not cut the ties, not where I didn't deal with them or, you know, fool around with them or be around them and stuff like that, but if I didn't stop feeding them, that it was going to be to the detriment of myself. And so but it took for another tower to hit. It took for another moment to hit twice back to back within a month's period of time. And it took for me to do it that way, but it also took that for me to let go and let God. And I realized that I've been hindering God's work in their lives because I kept saving them, but hindering his work in their lives and in mine too. So I look forward to expressing more of what I am going through, in hopes that someone just like me, someone who's actually been on the path and didn't generally compromise themselves and always wanted this and had integrity and looked out for their people and, you know, did what they were supposed to do for the community and always was a lending hand. I'm talking to those people. I'm talking to those people that always had a sense of knowing but couldn't quite put their finger on it. That is me. And now that I'm discovering the truth, it's like I'm mad as hell because I feel duped. I feel like bamboozled. I do. I feel like I was lied to. And I'm not talking about the people around me. I'm just talking about in general. I feel like I was lied to. The fact that spirituality wasn't parallel or in adjacent to religion. I was taught religion my entire life. So it's like all these fallacies are just coming at me. You know, the family and the friends thing came in doses, but it was still back to back. But then when the mask and the veil fell, it was like, damn, I see everybody now. And it's a little disheartening and it made me sad. And so it's now that I'm doing tarot, which I've been doing for several months now, just really trying to get to know myself because the people around me didn't pay attention or didn't want to focus or didn't want to see me for me, whatever their issue was. And so in it, I'm discovering that sacrifice is not godly. Self-sacrifice, not just sacrifice, but self-sacrifice is not godly, because God loves you too. So if you're sacrificing your soul for, doesn't matter, your husband, your children, your family, your mother, your church, if you are sacrificing the core of who you are and damaging yourself by accepting this behavior that you know does not feel good to you and is not right, on the strength or the premise or the misguided loyalty to that you must do that, I'm here to let you know you do not have to, darling. It is not necessary. It is not warranted. But most of all, it is not godly. It is literally not godly for you to do that. And it took me 44 years. So if I can help someone surpass that 40 years, or I can't say 40, it feels like it. I'm going to say 20. Because the first 10, I was conscious, but I'm not awake. I'm looking at all these people or me seeing them and hearing them, and I'm like, what the fuck? This doesn't go according to how we've lived our life. And I'm not talking about people I just met. I'm talking about people that I've known for 20 or plus years. And they were still revealing themselves to me in 2019 and 2018. And I thought I had dealt with all that. And every time and I just dealt with one just recently, like last week. And I'm like, okay, God. I'm like, okay, Lord. Okay, have your way with me. Just have your way. I'm no longer fighting the process. I was, because I thought it was something that could be fixed. And that's the non-awakening part, right? Because I thought it could be fixed. I thought, okay, well, let's talk about it. Let's have a conversation. Let's get some understanding. You share your emotions, I share mine, and we can meet in the middle. Not unbeknownst to me, and not knowing that that was part of God's purpose. That in order for me to achieve where I needed to go, certain people, places, and things needed to fall to the wayside. And I was fighting it. I've been fighting it for 20 years. He kept pulling it out of my grasp, and I kept coming back and saying, no, it's mine. He kept saying, no, it's not. And I kept saying, yes, it is. No, it's not. It's been this tug of war. And so now I'm at the place where I'm finally accepting this path and all that it has to offer. And so some major things are about to transpire, because I am letting go of that entire life, that entire 3D dimension. It's already been, I don't want to say taken from me. It's already been removed from my life for a grander purpose. But now the things that are trying to make its way out of my life, and I realize that I'm struggling to hold on to, when if I go according to the divine in the universe, that those things I won't have to fight for. And I've been saying anything of God it's effortless. And what I'm doing now is not effortless. It's a struggle, and it's beating my body down, and it's causing me anxiety. And I've never been the type of person to have anxiety, but I have anxiety since I was 30. That should have been a clue, but it wasn't. It was like I didn't seek to go inside, and I don't know why, because it wasn't taught to me. And so now that this journey it's crossed over the threshold of letting go, and I'm about to do a purge this week, and I see a red bird. Now, I don't know what this means, but I'm paying attention to signs, and I'm aware. And as I become aware, it's beautiful. It literally is heaven on earth. But I got one foot in heaven, and I got one foot in hell. And that's because I keep trying to hold on to things that are familiar, or out of pure misguidedness, because that's exactly what we've been misguided. I was misguided. And so the journey continues. So I know there's going to be some, maybe more tears, because as I have self-discovery and I'm trying to reconcile my childhood, and I'm sitting in this Empress energy after I'm reconciling the masculine and the feminine energy, and I've been operating in the masculine energy my entire life. That's a whole nother story, a whole nother, probably a series of videos that I can talk to women about, because I was known as Dan the Man. I was known as Tyson. Although I'm very feminine and sensual, I still resided in the masculine energy, which explains why I've been not wanting, up until recently, my divine life partner. I've been seeking and wanting to see him and meet him my entire life. But if it is of God, this mess that was on the inside, the unknowing of myself and who I was, would not have worked with God's divine purpose and path. And so I am focused on learning myself within my God Christ-like, or within my Christ-like consciousness. Some people say God, some people say Christ-like. It's all divine. It's all divine. It's knowing that I am connected and I am a part of, and I am not doing this by myself. God had to wipe. And that's how I feel. Like it was like a tidal wave that came in and no one held on but me. And he had to do that so I can see that even though these people that I thought were foundational, that I thought was my tribe, and I did everything that I did with that feeling or that thinking I knew. And I achieved great things to the point where they were jealous or envious or made excuses on why I was able to do that. And so now it's like standing in my own power, knowing that I have an army behind me, knowing that I have real support and a real foundation, that even if, God forbid, this planet was wiped clean and I was by myself, I would be secure enough to know that I really was not by myself. And that is what I'm discovering now. And it's hard. It's difficult. But I'm up for the challenge. So I'm curious to see where this takes me. And I've already met part of my soul tribe. Literally, I know it. It's a knowing. It's a knowing. It's a feeling. I'm learning to trust my instincts more. I'm learning to trust the gifts that God gave me and hone in on them and tune into them, and removing my speech, which, if you know me, that's been utmost difficult. I think I came out the womb talking. God had to literally tell me, shut up. Or maybe it was one of my ancestors telling me. But throughout that real dark night of the soul, I'm jokingly saying that I'm still going through it, but I know this is just residual, because when I do talk about the literal part of the dark night of the soul, when I was curled up in a fetal position for 2 weeks straight, just crying, couldn't eat, couldn't do anything, that was dismal. That was dismal, but I always had hope. I always likened that moment to me being in a dark tunnel, and I see a glint. I see a glint of light at the end of that dark, long ass freaking tunnel. I see a glint, not a shimmer. I see a glint, like, like a faraway star that's dimming out, but you can still see it. That's how I looked. And as I kept going forth, intuitively but begrudgingly, because I didn't know what was going on, or I would have went more willingly, I just kept going, and that light kept getting brighter and brighter. By the time it was like shining, I was like in the middle of it. And I would look back, because it was still getting hard and difficult, but I would look back in that tunnel and realize I came too far to go back now. And that light looked like it's just ahead of me. Like I can reach out and get it, and it's getting brighter and brighter. Right now, at this point in life, where I'm at the tunnel, is I feel like I'm at the door. I'm at the door. And it's open. And the light is filling me. Like it's shining over every particle of my being. And because I don't know what's on the other side, although the energy feels good, it feels like bliss. It feels like what bliss would feel like, what I would like in heaven to be. And to me, that's peace. Not contentment, because contentment means something different than peace to me. And now I'm just hesitant to walk through the door. Every reading I get, I do myself, or I watch, or I'm inclined to look at, it tells me the exact same thing. And I'm still struggling as to why I have not done it yet. So I'm hoping this channel, and just dropped my glasses. I'm hoping that this channel will help me as well as help you discover what you're fearful of, what you're not letting go of. Because it's been a doozy for me. And because I was not aware, and I'm looking at all these videos and I'm like, these people seem like super aware, like they grew up in this. And I'm like, well, where the hell was I at? What the hell was I doing? I want to say another word, which I probably will say in some other videos. But right now, I'm like, where the hell was I at? Because you couldn't have told me I ain't know who the hell I was. Ain't nobody who been around me can tell you that. Oh, she know who she was. Shouldn't me. I didn't. I did not. But I am self-discovering now and loving every minute of it. Even though I know it makes a lot of people around me uncomfortable. Especially coming from a very religious family. Very. Haven't talked to too many of it, only extended. I've talked to my people on the inside, you know, and that's a whole nother story. But yeah, anyway, my mind goes crazy. I think of so many things at one time. So understand me is to love me, because I will forget. Didn't it sound like something was scratching? Listen, I've been seeing signs and visions, y'all. And I wrote them down just so I know I ain't going crazy. And I'm excited. What is that? So I'm excited to share this journey with y'all. And just to see where it leads. So stay tuned, because I know there's an end. I have been ending cycles for quite some time, but this what I'm about to do, and I don't want to speak on it yet. I know it's going to transform my life, because I'm letting a big chunk of it go from that 3D dimension, from that lower vibration, for that non-self-love perspective. Because in reality, I allowed people to do me the way I did. They did because I did not love myself. And the moment I realized that, I literally broke down. Like, how could I not love myself enough to know that? Like, why? What was the deficiency in me that even allowed that many people to do me like that? And me not, for it to go unnoticed for so long by me. And then I go back to my brain, and it's because you were protected. You were being preserved. And I get that, but I'm like, okay. So that is it in a nutshell right now. It gets better. And I have great days. I have awesome days, because that's just my personality. And I do have a confidant where if it wasn't for her, though, I probably would have even trampled on this journey, because I've been on it, didn't even realize it. But she brought understanding and clarity, and then God started dropping people literally in my car to give me breadcrumbs to follow. Because I've always been of the mindset, think 20 steps ahead, you got to prepare. But in this new dimension, in this new reality, in this new consciousness, that is not a faith walk. And so when you get in tune with spirituality and God, and you combine spirituality and religion, because they do go hand in hand, you realize that you are fighting yourself and you are making your life a lot harder, like 1,000% harder than what it has to be, if you just learn to go with the flow and learn not to fight and learn how to trust the process. And I didn't know when people said trust the process. What is trust the process? Trust the process is when things start being removed from your life, not of your own volition. The people left my life not because I wanted them to, because I am loyal to an absolute fault. They left my life because they did some dirty shit to me, or said some fucked up shit to me, or, had feelings that they never expressed before. And that to me is fake. And I've lived my life being genuine. So it's like, okay, they gave me no choice. And throughout my life, the people that just left it, they've known that about me. But for some reason, these people stayed around and I didn't see them. I didn't see the frenemies in them. I didn't see, the fake love or the non-support or the competition, because I was too busy focused on myself. On the outside, though, like what I was achieving, I didn't go within, or I would have sensed them. I would have felt them. If I'd have just kept quiet and stopped talking about my dreams, goals, and aspirations and what I'm going to do, I would have heard them. Not physically heard them, but my spirit would have heard what they were doing and what they were saying. And now I pick up on absolute everything. Everything. And it's scary, enlightening, and exciting, because I feel like fucking Harry Potter. That's how I feel like right now. I do. I feel like that. I don't know if it's just me, but I feel magical as fuck. Like, what? Let me hone in on this. So now I'm like testing the universe. Not testing it to see, but testing it like manifesting and synchronicities and things like that. I speak it and I promise you somebody gets in my car. I have tons of recordings and videos because I knew what journey I'm on now, and I know it's going to mean something. I know it's going to manifest to something great, and I know I'm supposed to help people and help the masses, like thousands. I know that already. And so God just keeps saying, and it's been spoken over my life, my entire life, not by my immediate family, but by God's people. God's people. So stay tuned. Let's see how this unfolds. I don't know when I'm going to record this video, but it is 9 o'clock on Wednesday, February, I think the 12th or the 13th it is. But I know when I do post it, it's going to be at the right time, at the right moment. And I'm just going to keep recording before I post. I haven't yet. It's that fear content thing. But we shall see. Because the more I realize who I am, the more I understand God's purpose for my life. The answers are within. Yeah, you'll see me do this a lot. I'm sorry. Because I talk a lot, I get the little, the little crackhead mouth, the little glue mouth. The you thirsty mouth. So let's see. Namaste, guys, and keep your energy vibrating high no matter what. Michelle Obama said, when they go low, we go high. We're gonna stay high, because I'm capable of getting low, and I'm trying not to reside in that energy no matter what people do or say. And I realize that I am capable of doing that, because the last two trials, the serious ones, the lessons that came, they tested everything that I was built on. And it came from people that I absolutely loved unconditionally. God was like, listen, you're not listening, so I'm about to wake you up. Boom. And I was like, what? It was so confusing, y'all. It was so confusing. I couldn't understand. I still don't understand. I understand enough to know that that was how God wanted it and needed it to be. And I didn't heed the call initially, because if I did, it wouldn't have gotten that bad. If I'd have walked away like I was supposed to, it wouldn't have gotten that bad, and I know that. I can see that throughout the 20-year span of this journey. 20 years, y'all. I got a lot to talk about, so I hope y'all in for the ride. Namaste.